Alright, so let's go and find out how to use Lurantis today. Lurantis is going to be a pure grass type Pokemon. Despite looking like a bug and being based off a praying mantis, yep, it's just going to be a pure grass, so be aware of that. And that means we do have to worry about flying, poison, bug, fire, and ice type super effective hits, while also picking up resistances on the ground, water, grass, and electric. Everything else is going to be neutral, and we have no immunities as a grass typing defensively. Offensively, yeah, we get resisted by a lot. Bug, dragon, fire, flying, grass, poison, and steel will all resist us, and that means it's going to be ground, rock, and water super effective hits. I mean, those super effective hits do turn out to be really good, but pure grass typing, very vulnerable, very heavily resisted. Like, the grass typing, not that fantastic when you start breaking it down for at least how it matches up against other typings. Looking at the stats of Lurantis, we might have some problems. Actually, we definitely have some problems right here. So 45 in the base speed. We're getting outsped by a lot. We're super effective hit by a lot. So that's going to be a problem to be aware of. Also, we only have a 105 on the attack. For being such a slow Pokemon, having so low attack, it means we're not going to find a lot of crazy KOs, and that's going to be quite a problem right there. 90 on defenses, though, with 70 on the hit points does give us some effective tankiness, and maybe we can turn that around. So much like a lot of the Pokemon that we've seen so far in the Alola region, it's just going to be max out hit points, max out offensive stat, hope for the best, and that's going to be the Lurantis. So now let's go over to Serperior. You can also see that Lurantis has the Contrary ability. So Contrary is one of the craziest, most powerful abilities in the game. Pretty much whenever a stat is modified, the opposite happens, and when used correctly, you get a terrifying amount of power, because you think of moves like Superpower, well, they're meant to be very powerful and then have drawbacks, close combat. You lose defenses, while in a contrary Pokemon, you gain them instead, and Lurantis is going to have access to the Leaf Storm, so it's going to be similar to the Serperior, and we're going to have to explore that a little later. After that, we are just a Grass-type Pokemon that gets a lot of Grass-type coverage, and not much else. We also get the Leech Life. So if we're looking at it offensively, we have Leech Life, we have Poison Jab, and then we have like Leaf Blade and stuff like that. So it doesn't really get too crazy from there, and since Special Attack is our lowest stat, we might want to see how it plays into the Leaf Storm, but we do also get a lot of really nice useful moves as well. The Defog. Defog is kind of a rarity outside of the 4th generation, so these are all of the Pokemon that can learn it or breed it, and yeah, that's kind of it. So Lurantis has a little bit of utility, and it's a fairly tanky Pokemon, so it might be able to be used as a reliable Defog Pokemon, but if we're looking for like a coverage sweeper, we don't really find it. If we were trying to go for some craziness, like, yo, what if this Pokemon had Skill Swap Contrary? Well, it doesn't. We have the Swords Dance for setup, and then we just get not really too much else on the special attacking as well. Now, Solar Blade is going to be the signature move of this Pokemon. If we have Sunny Day active, then it is going to be a big hit, but if we don't have it active, well, then it's not really going to be that usable. So, yeah, it's just basic grass stuff. We see Synthesis, we see Leaf Blade, we try to do extra damage, and then maybe it pans out for us. So now let's go and check out what Lurantis is going to be capable of, and yeah, you just max out hit points, max out attack, go Adamant Nature, or Brave Nature if you're running like Trick Room or something, and then we have Life Orb, Leaf Blade, Leech Life, Poison Jab, Synthesis. It's pretty much everything I've already talked about. This is going to be just standard attacking Lurantis. Poison Jab coverage is nice, Leech Life healing is going to be nice. That's kind of all we really have to say about this Pokemon, because 105 attack with a not that great base power. Well, like, I mean, 90 base power is going to be pretty solid, but it's not like a 110. It's not like a 120. So 105 attack with this normal base power on the move means we're not finding any KOs, and we will be very susceptible to a lot of damage as well with our speed, with our typing, and not being like the craziest tank Pokemon out there. So let's go and look into the Contrary ability, because maybe this will be where Lurantis has the best chance of doing well, and it actually compares to Serperior in a really interesting way. So Serperior, it's going to want to max out its speed, max out special attack, and also run the Timid Nature. That way it outspeeds everything, it gets that Contrary Snowball, and then it just kind of wins. Lurantis is actually going to have more damage than the Serperior with that Leaf Storm, because it has 5 more on the special attack, but it can also go and run a Modest Nature or Quiet Nature. I'm thinking Quiet because we need that Trick Room. If we get outsped, well, it doesn't matter how much damage our Leaf Storm is doing. We take a hit, use Leaf Storm once, take a hit, and then dive. So much for trying to get like a Snowball going or something like that. Also, Serperior is surprisingly tanky. That has 75, 95, 95, and it can tank up a lot of neutral hits. And even without like tanky and defensive investments, Serperior just kind of survives things, so it does really well right there. And Lurantis is going to get away with max hit point investment, so we're going to be tankier, doing more damage than Serperior, and if we're into Trick Room, it kind of gives us the effect of being a fast Pokemon, at least for a couple of turns. Then the moveset is going to be Leaf Storm, Giga Drain, tech option right here, I was thinking aromatherapy, because that way you can kind of cleric for your team if you don't have any KO options, or if you have something bad happen to you, then you can just kind of aromatherapy that away, and then hidden power fire, because I mean, we don't get any other coverage. Like, we get grass and we get hidden power, and that's it on the Lurantis. So maybe the defog if you want to run that. Pretty much whatever tech option you feel would work here. Synthesis, kind of, maybe. At the same time, if we're going to be using the Giga Drain, I don't think we need Synthesis, because we go Leaf Storm, KO, Giga Drain, KO, heal up everything. Synthesis kind of doesn't make sense because we're dealing damage while healing a ton of health as well. Meadow Plate, because grass coverage, like if we're just running all grass, Life Orb isn't really going to help us out too much, especially if we're boosting damage into that Hidden Power Fire anyways. So this is going to help kick off our Snowball. And then I was thinking about how to make this the most effective, because Trick Room only lasts for a couple of turns, which means you need to get the most effectiveness out of it for the longest amount of time. And if you Trick Room switch into Lurantis, well, that could still go pretty wrong, because your initial Leaf Storm isn't going to go and KO everything. That it needs to be either against a super frail Pokemon, or you have to hit him once, tank a hit him again, and now you're unstoppable. Now that Leaf Storm's KOing everything from one-hit KOs, and you already got this going with this speed. So I was looking into Trick Room Pokemon with Memento. That's kind of it. Like, you Trick Room, you Memento, that's going to be very good on the Lurantis, but it is going to be giving up a Pokemon. So it's going to be a 5v6, which means Lurantis is going to have to KO 2 Pokemon to make this worth it before it goes down, and then it's a 4v4, but if it ends up snowballing even more under that Trick Room, well, then we're going to be good to go. So those are things to consider right there. And the Memento is going to make it to where the opponent has even less to do against the Lurantis. Now, looking at Memento Pokemon, there's actually not a lot of Trick Room Memento Pokemon. Now, I was looking at Spiritomb. Well, Spiritomb, strangely enough, doesn't get the Trick Room, so that kind of sucks right there. And then it's Chandelure, Misdreavus into Mismagius, I guess, but that's not going to be super tanky. Well, actually, you could technically run the Eviolite Misdreavus, because that does have a lot of tankiness behind it. So that's an option right there. We have Eviolite Dusclops, we have Gardevoir, and then we have Cofagrigus, and that's kind of it. So if you want to run the Trick Room for the Memento for the strategy, you have a couple of options, and then once we get Pokebank Transfer, you get a bit more. I feel that as long as you're not getting taunted out, Dusclops, very reliable Pokemon for getting that setup going right there, and then you just kind of put everything onto Lurantis and hope for the best. Other things that Lurantis can do, I was thinking about maybe just a pure support set, either in singles. I don't know what this could do in doubles, but the idea is that you use Defog. So you can bring in Lurantis, use Defog, clear all their setup, so that could be pretty nice right there. Aromatherapy, that's going to be able to clear a lot of status if you have Burn or Toxic or anything. And then you're just kind of Toxic and then Synthesis stall. That they're spending turns going for status, if they're spending turns going for Stealth Rock, Spikes, or whatever, well then Lurantis is at least going to be able to reset that and then maybe add a Poison on top of it. So if they give up too much going for that setup, if they overcommit, Lurantis can clear that, get a Toxic, Synthesis, and then contribute in some kind of extra way if you will really want to use it, and then Toxic could really add up. That the opponent isn't 2-hit KOing you, well then you can just Synthesis through it forever, and now the opponent's going to be Toxic stalled while also losing all of their momentum just like that. So I think this set might actually be better than the offensive set, because there's just better Pokemon out there that instead of running the Lurantis, there's bulkier Pokemon that do more damage, or faster Pokemon that do more damage and stuff like that. And it just doesn't add coverage that makes it any kind of special. So this is going to be a special set right here. Not many Pokemon can do so much support while also having sustain, and then this is going to take a lot of setup under that Trick Room. I just don't recommend it if you're not doing Trick Room at all. And in doubles, I don't think it's going to work either. Like, this is going to be a crazy singles Trick Room, which is why we want the Memento right here. And other than that, let's go and look at some damage calculations. So I wanted to go and see how tanky Lurantis is. That 90 on defenses, 70 on the hit points, that makes us comparable to a Rotom Wash. So let's go and change up the screen right here. So Rotom Wash without any defensive investment is going to be slightly tankier than us. So just giving us an idea of what's going on right here. So I have Choice Band, Adamant, Return Komala. That hits like a truck. I just remembered how terrifying Komala can be for sure, but then we get the same idea. So Return is going to do 80%, and then that is going to do 78% onto the Rotom. So slight bits of damage difference, and then that shows like on this Lurantis set, you just kind of run whatever tankiness. Want to go full defensive tank? You can. Want to run leftovers? You can. Want to run Rocky Helmet? You can. Whatever you want to run, just go and run it, and then have fun. If you want to go mixed on the defenses, if you want to be a dedicated tank, go for that, and then that's kind of what we're looking at. So effectively, we are going to be comparable to a Rotom in that we can just max out whatever defensive stat we want, and then try to get some tankiness out of that. Other than that, though, I was also looking into damage. So Tapu Koko, it's going to be a Pokemon that has 70 on the hit points, 85 on defense, and Life Orb Leaf Blade is not going to one-hit KO. So that just kind of shows, like, yeah, we're not finding good damage ranges. Even something down like, let's see, 65, 65 is where we start to find chances to KO. So against the average sweeper Pokemon even, like very few Pokemon drop below 70, 70. It just shows to be a big problem because we're so slow, we're going to get outsped by everything. So we need to one-hit KO or else we're going to get two-hit KO'd. So the idea is we take a hit, we don't KO the opponent back, they outspeed us and they KO us. That just kind of proves true for a lot of different Pokemon and a lot of different matchups. Not against Tapu Koko because we at least get to resist its Thunderbolt. But in neutral matchups or unfavorable matchups, yeah, we just kind of get one shot and then our day ends right there. So that's not really fun. I wanted to go and bring up the Weavile. Weavile is always a good one. Icicle Crash is going to be KOing us if it has Life Orb. So Life Orb, even with our full hit point investment, we still don't get to do anything against a Weavile because it just outspeed and KOs us. So that's the power of the super effective hits right there. Also, Knockoff still doing a lot of damage. Leaf Blade has a chance to KO because that's 65 on defense. But as you can see, if a Pokemon's that frail, it's going to be faster than us and doing enough damage to KO us anyways. So that's why I just don't believe in this Lurantis setup right here. But then if we go into the Leaf Storm against Tapu Koko. Now, Tapu Koko does have 75 on that special defense, but I did want to compare it to the just 85 defense on the Tapu Koko. So we were doing like 75, 80-ish% to the Tapu Koko with our physical hit on that Leaf Blade. Well, Leaf Storm, Quiet Nature, and then if we go into something like the Meadow Plate, that's just going to make it to where, yeah, we're doing more damage on a Leaf Storm than we are with a Leaf Blade. So just the power of base powers right here. That Leaf Storm at that 130 base power is going to be more powerful than having 25 more points in our attack using a Leaf Blade, and then with the contrary ability, it snowballs from there. So this kind of shows the damage amp up, that if you have Stealth Rocks up and the opponent comes into a Stealth Rocks, would that actually be enough? 68% chance to KO after the Stealth Rocks. So depending on how much chip damage has happened, you know, you can set up the Trick Room middle of the game. Suddenly a Chandelure appears, they think it's going to be offensive, it goes for Trick Room Memento, you bring in Lurantis. If the opponent is weakened in any way, Leaf Storm KOs them, and then Leaf Storm KOs everything else after that, because then we hit +2. +2 is going to be absurd amounts of damage against all kinds of Pokemon. Let's see the Garchomp. I wonder how that matchup is going to go. Yeah. Yep, that's what we're looking at right here. So, that's the cool thing. The benefits over the Serperior is that you're tankier and you're doing more damage. You can run the Meadow Plate. I know that some do tend to run the Life Orb, so the damage numbers are going to kind of fluctuate from there, but there's a lot of reliability. There's a bit more safety as long as the Trick Room is up, so you can kind of just use that, you know. You get a couple turns to dominate the game, and then once that wears off, they might have a super effective response for you, or they might try to resist you in some kind of way. Like, that could be a problem. If, say, a Flying-type Pokemon comes in, Talonflame, fortunately that Pokemon got nerfed into Oblivion, so we won't have to worry about it as much. I'm just going to bring up a random Pokemon. What about Pidgeot? So, Pidgeot will be able to survive even at the +2. Now, if we made this a Mega Pidgeot, because that's what we're going to be expecting, that's 135 on special attack, so Mega Pidgeot will be KOing us in return. So it kind of shows, like, a lot of those Flying-type matchups, they can resist us at those ranges, so that's why people might tend to opt into the Hidden Power Ice instead of the Hidden Power Fire. Hidden Power Ice means that, like, pure Flying-type Pokemon or, like, normal Flying-type Pokemon won't be as big of a threat. But at the same time, you're still going to be able to get walled out by, like, Grass-type Pokemon and Grass-Poison-type Pokemon, or something like that. So pretty much, Hidden Power Fire is you don't want to get walled. Hidden Power Ice is that you don't want to lose to a Flying-type Pokemon that would resist your Leaf Storm. But say if you already have a +2, or you use it again, you go to +4, well, now you're going to be KOing pretty much anything, regardless of the resistances. So that's another thing to consider on the Lurantis Snowball right there. And yeah, so contrary for the win on Lurantis, I don't think anything else works. Double Battle, Sunny Day, you take a hit, you maybe go for a Solar Blade, you maybe find a KO. But it shows that, you know, we have to survive a hit, we have to maybe survive 2 hits, depending on, like, how much of a threat the other Pokemon is. You know, Drought, Torkoal, maybe they'll try to focus down the Lurantis before it does anything on the Solar Blade. So, yeah, I'm just thinking, contrary Trick Room, best way to use Lurantis, maybe that status support just for fun right there. And there we go, guys. Hope you all enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.